What do you get if you cross the history of feudal Japan with chibi animation and have the whole thing narrated by a smartass? The answer is you get Linfamy.
What would you do if you can't get ahead in your career, but you can kick ass in a fight? Hey guys, Linfamy here, taking a break from my day job as a professional panda fluffer to bring you a video on how the samurai began.
Linfamy is a comedy educational YouTube channel written, animated, and hosted by Linfamy.
Look, I got this job because I wanted to do something important for this country. I've sat at this desk for 10 years doing nothing useful. Now is my chance.
Anyways,
On his channel, the viewer learns about Japanese history from the beginning.
the very first people in Japan likely arrived in 35,000 BC from Sakhalin. There was an ice age at the time, so they probably traveled across a land bridge that existed between Sakhalin and Hokkaido. Now, just because they were the first people, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were the ancestors of the modern Japanese. The ancestors of the modern Japanese came from two waves of migration. Migration 1 brought people who came to be known as the Jomon. Migration 2 brought the Yayoi. Around 300 BC, there was a big migration of people from the Korean peninsula into the Japanese archipelago. We call them the Yayoi. I said Yayoi, bunch of pervs. The Yayoi kicked ass at not dying, so they gradually displaced or interbred with many of the native Jomon peoples already living there. Sometime later, the Yamato Japanese arose, and they were of Yayoi origin mostly, but there's a debate about the Emishi. We know these hairy people were culturally different from the Yamato, but were they also genetically different? And how did they grow that much facial hair? As an Asian, I must know, so I stopped looking like a 10-year-old boy. To simplify, the Yayoi people did spread north, but the further you go into northeastern Honshu, the less Yayoi DNA you see. So the Yamato grew out of a population that had strong Yayoi influence, and the Emishi came from a population that has strong Jomon influence.
Stories of famous samurai generals, mischievous yokai, emperors, nobles, peasantry, and legends are told in a hyperbolic, often sarcastic way that brings the characters therein to life.
Before 792, Japan had a national military. In 792, Emperor Kanmu got rid of it. After 792, murder intensifies. The region was full of badass warriors whose favorite hobby was scoffing at authority while placing the authority's head on a stick. 200 years earlier, Taira no Masakado, often called the first samurai, also tried to kick the central government out of the Kanto. The people there always had a fondness for freedom. It was a smart move for Yoritomo. Move the focus away from helping the government, remove the Taira. The Kanto warriors were not fans of John F. Kennedy and just kept asking, "What has the government done for me?" The government was full of greedy outsiders who just stayed in the capital and took their tax money and told them what to do, and also controlled their land. Thing is, these people had a point. The only people that mattered to nobles in the capital were nobles in the capital. People outside of it were uncivilized and did silly things like provide food for everyone.
If you enjoy learning about other cultures as much as I do, go ahead and give Linfamy a look.